Mike and Brad, crypto takeover podcast. If I can get it out, I'm so excited I can't even get the words out, man. But dude, we've got episode 2 coming at you. And what we thought we would do for today, we kind of touched on this in the last one, but go over why crypto. I want to get the conversation started there. I think it would be really good for those who either maybe not are in it yet, for us to talk about why we even went down this path, and even expound more so than we talked on, last time. Obviously, your journey, Brad, is longer than mine at this point, but I've definitely caught the bug, and I'm right there with you. But why don't you kind of tell us a bit about why you took, the leap from, because I mean, you're a successful real estate guy. You were already doing very well. Why in the world would you change over to this? You know what I mean? Like, do this at the same time and add even more to your plate, kind of thing. So, or did you, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, so for me, Mike, it was all about discovering places to put my money. And so I'm looking for safe places to put my money. I continue to see what's happening in the United States and other countries around the world, especially over the last couple of years with how money's been moving, how governments have been handling their monetary policies and things like that. And so I'm like, okay, what's a safe place for me to put my money that I've made over the years? And, so I started looking at, okay, the traditional things that people talk about are, gold, people talk about silver, precious metals, all those different things. And so it's like, I'm looking at all that stuff first. Right. And so I start off there. And then I remembered kind of hearing about crypto before. I'm dabbling in day trading foreign exchange because I'm thinking, well, maybe I put some money into different foreign markets as well and stuff like that. And then I really started paying more attention to the crypto space. And as I started paying attention to the crypto space, I recognized, hey man, this is where money's going. Like if we look at how industries change, everything is becoming more digital. And so I'm like, the world's not going to become less digital. So, once I started to understand the technology behind it and things like that, kind of changed my perspective. I remember, I think I've joked around and told you a little bit before, but I remember the first time my father-in-law told me about Bitcoin, I was like, that's like Wi-Fi money. That's not real.
Right.
I'm like, how do you access it? Like, what if the computer system goes down?
Right.
And so I'm like, they could just pull the plug.
What if they shut down the internet?
Yeah, the internet's gone. We're all, if the internet gets shut down, we're all screwed.
We're all screwed anyways.
At this point. So
think about that though.
That was my initial thought.
Yeah, I mean, but even with that, like that's what some people's first initial thoughts are. But but it's all in the internet. Like, what if the internet goes away? Well, like if the internet goes away, you're not getting your bank's money anyways because it's all in the digital space as it is. Try to go to your bank right now and get out all your money. That guy who you talk to is going to say, 1 second, I gotta call my manager. You're not gonna get it.
You see like the old movies and stuff where like there's the rush on the bank, and like everyone's like diving in, like and they're like, no, they freak out and they start like shutting all the safes and everything. It's like that'd be the scene.
Exactly.
But so we're gonna have a lot bigger problems if the world decides to shut down the internet at this point. It would, there'd be a lot of blood on the streets. There'd be a lot of riots, and there'd be a lot of people like looting grocery stores and everything else. And we would have to figure out a lot more things besides figuring out where our money is at that point. We'd
For sure.
How to live.
Exactly, man. So
So I mean, that's how it started for me, though. I mean, it started as, where is a good place for me to keep my money that is not necessarily going to be controlled on what some politicians decide is going to happen with money.
Gotcha. So it's a taking back, control kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's why we moved to the U.S. in the first place, or why a lot of people come to the U.S. in the first place, right? We're born and bred here, but people come here for that freedom, and you want to keep that. And I mean, not to like doom and gloom or stuff like that, but you kind of look at where some of these policymakers are going, not even just in the US, outside. There's a lot of other countries that struggle with this type of stuff, who aren't the US. But
Sure.
it's taking back that freedom, that people came here for in the first
Absolutely.
place.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's what it's all about. And I think we've been taught not to pay attention to our money, not to manage our own money.
Mm,
People are so used to paycheck living. That's how they manage their budgets. And that's not proper financial education. And so it's like when you go to the fact of, okay, I've made this much money. How do I keep this? And then how do I make it continue to build me wealth?
hmm
It's like, how do we do that? Right.
right.
It's like we're not all goat herders or sheep herders anymore, and like your livestock is reproducing and creating more wealth for you.
Sure.
Like you got to learn how to do that. You're not slaughtering the cow every week.
Right. I know I'm not. Yeah, I don't even think I could. Like, we want to get some chickens, but like that's kind of as far as that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, man. So, I mean, that's how it got started for me. Got involved in the space that way, and just began to see it as a great place to store money.
hmm
Because all right, here's the argument. Well, I'll get gold. Awesome. If you have a entire, I mean, that was what it used to always be, right? Get gold. Well, like,
Sure.
I've got a closet sitting here across from me. If I had a safe in there that was filled up with gold bricks, a gold brick is like the size of that microphone that is on your screen, right? Like, how many of those are you going to carry with you
Sure.
when you go on vacation? How
Right.
many of those are like, it's not something that you're tangibly able to bring with you, transact easily with. How are you going to break that gold brick up? Are you going to like melt off a corner of it? Are you going to,
Mm,
like, how are you going to use it to transact? And so it's like with cryptocurrency, you can break it up into fractions. You can send small payments. You can do these different things. And as people begin to continue to figure this out, like it's happening more and more frequently.
hmm
Um,
hmm
I think I shared on our call yesterday for our team that 38% of millennials are invested in cryptocurrency and looking at crypto as something that is going to fuel their retirement.
Right.
Um, and that actually is a higher level that is invested in crypto than in the stock market. 37% of millennials are invested in the stock market. So it's barely over, but that shows you that there is a shift happening.
Yeah.
So still small amount of Americans overall, but you're talking about this shift that's starting to take place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. I mean, and
And,
we've.
and you also got to consider, when they say, oh, this many people are invested in cryptocurrency. I mean, anyone that has a cryptocurrency wallet that has $10 on it, they're including in someone that's, invested in cryptocurrency.
Sure.
And so it's like, who's actually putting their wealth in it? That's a different story. And so,
Yeah.
we're still very, very early on in adoption
Right.
from that perspective. So those of you guys that are listening are like, okay, well, like Bitcoin's already at 40,000, I already missed this. You didn't, I mean, think about the population. This is the other thing that got me excited about Bitcoin, and I'll just go there for a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there's 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be created. Right now, there's
Mm,
about 19 million in circulation, just over maybe. And so
hmm
that's where we're at right now. And there'll only ever be 21 million.
Right.
Well, I think about like, well, how many people live in my city? you know well, just I mean, how many millionaires are there in the world? Well, there's more than 21 million millionaires. So not
Sure.
even every millionaire in the world can own a Bitcoin.
One Bitcoin. Right.
So the more you can accumulate now, as the price of this continues to go up, the more demand there's going to be, which is going to increase the demand, obviously, and then
hmm
increase the prices. And banks are going to be begging you one day to be able to lend off of it, just like
Right.
they lend off of your money right now. You got to look at how systems work right now
hmm
and then reverse that and say, okay, this is the way that they're going to want to work 5, 10 years from now.
Right.
Things that were a dream in cryptocurrency 5 years ago are now reality.
Right.
And so it's like, whoa,
Right.
like what all can be done? I
Right.
mean,
Right.
so much can happen.
Yeah, I mean, and it allows, like, you talk about the lending aspect of it, and banks wanting it from, like, it allows like the average Joe, like you and me, to lend our money, in smaller chunks. I don't have to have millions of dollars to then go lend out as a private investor to up and coming businesses, or
Mhm.
whatever the case may be. I don't have to be an accredited investor to do that. I
Right.
can take my, small amount, whatever that is, and go and lend that and get more than it would if I just went and stacked it under my mattress or in a bank,
Right, right, right,
right
right.
now. And
Yeah.
so that
Yeah, and
deflationary.
and let's be real. Okay, you stack it under your mattress, right? What happens to it? You're gonna pull it out 10 years from now. It's gonna be worth less than it was now.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, boom. Like
Yep.
you got to understand where the world's going.
Right, exactly. I mean, that Bitcoin has deflationary mechanism built into it, right? And so it is supply and demand. You learned it in economics, back in high school, and less of something means there's going to be more value because more people are going to want that something, right? And so
Mhm.
it's going to be worth more. And so, as the example you gave with, there's only so many millionaires in the world, not even all of them can own one full Bitcoin, right? You
Right,
don't have to go, if you went out and tried to buy a $40,000 Bitcoin right now, not everybody can do that. But you
right.
can go out and put $100 in it, or $200 in it, or whatever
Sure.
it is,
Right,
and start stacking it over time.
right.
That is going to be worth plenty in the long run, right?
Yep, yep.
So you don't have to have all of this money to get into this space. So the average person, can start looking into it and getting into it, right now, today.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same way anyone starts investing in any kind of form or fashion. It's like you look at the average American doesn't have any savings. You
Yeah,
know, 40% Americans, 40% can't even pay for $1,000 emergency that
that's
comes up.
scary.
And so if that's the case, like where do you start? You start by setting up yourself an account that you can't get into, and you put a little bit of your money into it every week,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
same thing with learning how to invest. You do the same thing. You scale in. You scale into this over time, and
Mm-hmm.
over time you get to a point where you're like, wow, this is really incredible. Like I've been able to develop this. Not everybody has, like what you said,
Right.
$40,000 that they can throw into a Bitcoin right now, but
Right.
they maybe, can start buying $100 a week.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, so, like, why crypto for me? It wasn't like, where am I going to put my money? Mine's a bit of a different story. It was, I'm looking for another way to create income for my family.
Hmm.
And you you were looking for a store of value and increase over time, right? And I'm looking for, like, what can I do right now to take and make, what I can do, my time work for me. So I'm looking at trading, of
Yeah,
course, in that regard. And there's other ways to make money in the space too, in NFTs and the metaverse and all of these other things, and virtual real estate and all of this stuff. And so that's the stuff that really is intriguing for me. And so that was the why crypto for me. And so anybody can get into this space and start making it work for them, no matter what
yeah,
their goals are.
right.
Honestly, and you could have very minimal education as long as you have a drive and to learn,
Yep,
and get moving in it.
absolutely.
And the second part for me was, it was the technology behind it, like, and kind of what we talked about, like, technology technology isn't going anywhere. It's changing at a rapid pace. I mean, you look at the computer and where it started, and how it, like, the half-life of a computer upgrade is, like, getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right? And so, like, computers are just getting much more advanced, and now we have vacuums that vacuum our house for us, and and all these other
Yeah.
things, that go on. You walk into your house and all your lights turn on, or I can start my car from my phone now, or all these different things technology wise. And so when technology and money crossed paths, it was like this light bulb that went off for me. It's like
Hmm.
we have this insane opportunity to take advantage of where our financial system is going from a technology standpoint,
Right.
right? And I can now invest in that from the ground floor. I mean, that's amazing to me.
Right. Right.
I mean, and
Yeah, it's the first time you've been able to invest in technology adoption.
right,
It's the first time really that you've been able to invest from the ground floor up, in technology's adoption. And as it's becoming more adopted, you're making more money.
right, yeah,
You know,
exactly,
it's like
exactly.
you could have bought stocks, right? You could have bought some tech stocks back in the day,
Hmm.
stuff like that. But not to the same, it's the stock of the assets, not the actual asset itself. It's not the actual technology. You
Right,
know what I'm saying?
right.
Like, this is the first time that you're actually like, the technology that you're buying into is the asset, and it's increasing in value, and as it's more adopted, boom, you're like, whoa.
Exactly. Exactly, right? Exactly. So, I mean, that's what was so fascinating for me. And so
Yeah.
I dove in, and like I'm a tech guy. I love technology. I was a gamer for a while. And I'm fascinated by
Hence your sweet
technology.
chair.
It just comes with, it's in me. The chair makes me look like a really good gamer, but it is, but I'm just an amateur. But but
Let's go, Mike.
I
Turn on
don't.
some shooter games.
Easy. Um, so that's what was fascinating for me, and so I dove in. I was like, okay, what is really behind all of this? And it's blockchain. And people are like block. Then it starts going over people's heads, and that's what it did for me a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was talking to me about it, and he did the whole smile and nod, and you're like, yeah, yeah, that's awesome, good for you, good for you. And now I'm like, why wasn't I truly listening to him 2.5 years ago? Because with where it's gone today,
Sure. We all
and
have those stories, right?
yeah,
Everybody's got those stories. And what's crazy is people will be like, oh, they'll still talk about how it fails, like it's going to fail. Oh,
uh,
well, Bitcoin was $68,000, in November, and now it's 40,000. So
mm,
it's going to zero, like this is worthless.
right,
And and like I'm like, yo, like, in 2020, if you would have bought Bitcoin at 3,800, I think you'd be pretty happy
right,
about it being at 40 grand right now. And so it's just like, the perspective of people is like what has to shift,
yes,
and yeah,
yes,
it's just funny to me, man. It's so funny when you hear like the people that want to like bash on crypto. It's like,
yeah,
no, man, this is
yeah.
where it's at.
Well, yeah. Well, and for me, it's like at that point, it becomes more of an education thing. It's obviously that I start asking questions. Okay, where did you get that perspective? Who told you something like that? Did you come up
Right.
with that on your own? Do you even what do you know about the space, right? And because I said the same things
Yeah.
years ago, and like even the word crypto to me sounds like somebody's just trying to scam me.
Sketchy.
you know? But
Well,
cryptography
yeah,
is
and
big.
you got Dogecoin,
Yeah, right. I mean,
Shibas, you got pancakes, you got sushi. It's like everything's an animal or
exactly,
a
exactly.
kind of food.
It's like one of our educators, talks about it. He's like, "Yeah, you got the big old zoo in your wallet, right?" It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I got
If
all
you got a
these
zoo in your
animals.
wallet, you're probably not gonna have a good time.
Exactly. Oh, he cracks me up. But and so I start asking questions. I'm like, okay, so where are you getting your education? Have you spent any time actually learning about it, right? And most oftentimes it's no, that was just my buddy and I chatting, or he was telling, he's got the same mindset as I do. Okay, well,
Yeah, yeah,
you need to dig in.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you've got to learn about it before you can just say that it's going to be gone tomorrow. Like
Right.
this is not going anywhere. Take a
Yeah.
look around you. Look at the Fortune 500 companies who are coming into the space. Look at the major investment firms that are coming into the space. You know, you've got people like Ray Dalio, who actually used to be in that corner, who now has come over and is looking at investing his company, BlackRock, into or not BlackRock. My apologies. What is his firm? I'm completely spacing. We're gonna have to look it up, but we'll have to look that up. But now he is thinking about where he's going to invest in the space. You know, for his investment firm, one of the largest investments firms in the world, right? And so Ray Dalio is an incredible economic mind, you know, an economist, and so when you've got people like that who are starting to get involved, I mean, you pay attention, you know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. The other thing is, you got to understand like the ebb and flow of economies around the world. You mentioned Ray Dalio, for example. Today's April the 19th. He recently just came out with this new book. Ray
Bridgewater.
is Bridgewater Associates is
There we go.
his hedge fund, and so it's like you you look at a guy like him. He just comes out with his brand new book. He talks about the rise and fall of nations,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you got to pay attention to these things. Like if
Yeah.
you're not paying attention to these things, like you're not like if you're oblivious to the world around you, like yeah, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, sure, 20%. I don't care. Like
Right.
I'm literally okay. Like check this out. So last night I went and ate at a restaurant that I ate at last year down here in Florida. Okay, and I would get this like nice blackened fish sandwich deal or basket or whatever it is, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
was like $15 or $18 depending on the fish that you got. This year it's $22 or $32
Holy smokes.
for the exact same thing. And so it's like some people are like, oh, here's my wallet, and they don't even recognize what's happening.
Right.
And it's like, wake up, people. It's time to recognize what's going on in our world and start taking care of yourself. And that to me, that's why me and you are doing this. That's
Right.
why we're here, because we want this to be about just giving people those, nuggets, those bits and bytes of information
Yep.
that can help people be like, okay, I need to dive into this. I need to learn more because, for me, like, I know crypto is not for everybody because
Sure.
a
Sure.
lot of people can't handle the risk of crypto. But what they need to do is realize that crypto is for everybody
Yeah.
because of where the money is going. Like everyone needs to educate themselves on this. If you don't educate yourself on this and you don't know how to handle your finances in the future, you are going to get left behind because the way this is looking ain't pretty. You
Right.
have to understand the current financial markets. And you start looking at what's going on in the world, you start looking what's going on with the Federal Reserve, stuff like that. And it's like, okay. And like you see like money printing and everything else. And then what is the Federal Reserve going to do this week?
Yeah.
Biden freaking appoints
Yeah.
a crypto executive advisor to
Exactly.
be a supervisor role for the Federal Reserve.
You just took the
Where
words
do
out.
you
That's
think
exactly what I was going to
monetary
say.
policy is going? To
Yeah.
cryptocurrency.
Right.
Come on,
Yeah.
man. Oh
Exactly.
wait, that's
Exactly.
Biden's
You
line.
look like you look at a news article like that of somebody who hires. So the person that they hired is a previous exec at a company that the SEC is currently in a lawsuit with over this.
Oh,
Start
the
connecting those
storyline
dots.
is just
Like
unreal.
that is just mind blowing to me. I mean, if that
Yeah.
isn't a sign that the SEC is up a creek, with what they're trying to do in that XRP case, I don't know what is, but you've got the federal. They're hiring somebody who was part of the crypto world, and he still very much is. He just no
Yeah.
longer works over at XRP. They brought him over now to the the Federal
To
Reserve.
the Federal Reserve.
Come
Oh,
on,
hello.
yeah, those are the type of people that are going to be in charge of those things. So just watch what happens. Like that's
100%.
that. Just watch
100%.
what happens with
You know,
that, right?
and I mean, as we're talking about this, just to like talking about technology and just kind of put a bow on it,
Yeah.
like blockchain will change everything that we do.
Yes.
So when you look at anything that is done via contract in the world, whether it's real estate, which you and I are both involved in, whether it's some kind of attorney drafted agreements, whatever it is, that's all going to be built on smart contracts.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
the entire world is going to shift to this because
Yeah.
it is a better way.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it's
And
more
that's what and
efficient.
that was
It's
my why. That was
yeah,
exactly
and
my
so
why.
it makes like the more you learn about it, the clearer it is,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like,
Yep. That was exactly. I mean, that technology behind it is why I'm so invested in it in time and now
yeah,
money, and why I'm so passionate about teaching others and telling others about it, because this is built on something that will affect every single industry in the world.
yeah,
And
100%.
that speaks volumes. And so,
Yeah,
just like you said, let's wrap this one up. I think what would be great for us to do in episode 3 is just touch on what is blockchain on a basic level, what's a smart contract on a basic level, just so we can give you guys something to chew on, and then maybe you can go and do a little bit more research on your own time and stuff. We have a Telegram channel that you guys are more than willing. We'll drop the link in the show notes, and you guys can come in there. We've got people coming in there every single day and asking questions. And so once you do some of your own research on some of this stuff, please come in there, ask some questions. We are more than happy to help along your journey with getting into this space. We've got tools and resources for you that we can provide to help just get a good foundation, and so you feel a bit better about what the heck this world of crypto is going on, as
yeah,
there's such a small percentage in it right now. You're not late.
yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
technology gets adopted at a much quicker rate right now,
Yeah,
and so that's why it is us kind of sounding the alarm, like let's go. But you are at the same time still early with where this technology is going, that it hasn't even gone yet, right?
right.
And so, but we'll drop that in the show notes. If you want to reach out to any of us, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and you can reach out to us those ways, and we'll drop those links there. You can follow us there and reach out direct message if you like. But yeah, anything else to add, Brad?
Man, that's it. I'm excited. This week's going to be a good week. I am probably going to go check out the beach later today and
Nice.
roll. So, and that's the thing, guys. Like, you're doing this for your freedom.
Yeah.
You're doing this. Mike's wearing a shirt. What does it say? I make my own luck. Like, luck isn't a thing, guys. You go out and you create. And so it's like you go learn a new skill set, you go learn about some new way to invest. It's not about getting
Right.
lucky. Sometimes you do just get lucky, but like when you actually know what you're doing and why you're doing it, you have great results. So with that, guys, y'all have an awesome week. Go
Yep.
find your paradise this week, because that's what I'm about to go do.
There you
And
go.
so I'll see you guys next time.
All right. Have a blessed week, y'all.